Good morning, James Hobart here with JamesHobartMarketing.com. I'd like to introduce myself before getting into the video. I've got a 45-year track record in the professional beauty industry, salons and spas, either managing companies or managing their sales, marketing, education departments. I'm now doing online marketing because I find that this many years later, due to poor planning and life circumstances, I'm not set up for retirement. And of course, at some point, we all have to have that, put aside. Right now, my website is focused on things that really appeal to me and hopefully to you, especially with online marketing as your objective and goal, and that is self-improvement, self-empowerment, motivation, inspiration, online business ideas, and of course, encouragement. Today's video backs up my first article on the blog, which was your mind's operating system, and the second, which will have its own video coming out probably tomorrow, related to the second article, Your Mind's Operating System Part 2. I am a certified hypnotherapist in the state of California, have been since 1993. I actually did not get into therapy as a profession, but I wanted the information. The information is very powerful. It has made a huge difference in my life over the last 20 years, and I believe it can help you also, especially with online marketing. My belief has always been that you should be your own therapist, and with hypnotherapy, typically you can handle most things that you go to a therapist for on your own. If you're looking to build your confidence, if you're looking to build your self-esteem, if you're trying to get rid of fears, if you're trying to build your confidence, all these things are easily taken care of, again, by you, your own therapist. One of the big failures I see with online marketing is that, of course, people don't understand how strong the mind is, and if your mind's not on track, on point with you, and where you want to go, you're not going to get there. If you don't believe strongly enough in what you're trying to sell, you're not going to sell anybody. So either way, we're going to move into the video. Give me a second to switch here, and I'll start the video. And we'll go from here. It opens up the video, Your Mind's Operating System. To me, it's get the most out of your life, and we both know that we want a lot of life. Here's my bio for those of you that care. I never put these things up to impress anybody, but I always feel that it gives me some credibility, especially on the business side. As you can see, I've been at the salon level, school level, distributor level, manufacturing level, and I do have my certification in hypnotherapy. These are things that, again, hopefully give me some credibility and some street cred so that you listen a little closer to what I'm about to share with you. One of the things that I talk a lot about is the model of the world, your unique identity, your life script. Your life script really is an accumulation of everything that's ever happened to you from the moment you were born right until this very day. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you're 10, you've got 10 years worth of life script. If you're 30, you got 30 years worth of life script. If you're my age, you got a lot of years of life script. Your life script's based on a lot of different factors: where you were born, who your parents were, what schools you attended, the churches you were part of, your circle of friends, all, again, developing your life experience and your life script. I would think you would agree with me that none of us are identical in that respect. In fact, I'm actually married to an identical twin, and as much as they looked alike when they were younger, once they got on the road of life and went down separate paths, today, many, many years later, they don't look hardly alike, especially to myself, who knows both of them intimately. So here we are, like I say, understanding that you are very different. You are a unique personality on the face of the earth, so much different than I. I can't walk in your shoes. You can't walk in mine. I was born in Bogota, Colombia, lived there till I was 6, moved to Panama till I was 11, almost 12, before we came to the States. I don't know my father. Again, I'm just giving you my side of it so that you can see that, what your side is a whole lot different. We're all unique individuals. Once we understand how uniquely different we are, even within a family, prejudice goes away, because ultimately prejudice is what holds people back. I'm going to try and compare a computer system to the human system because the two have a lot of similarities. If you look at a computer system, we know that the box itself that has the motherboard, the sound cards, the circuitry, all the stuff that that make up what needs to happen within that box before putting it on the monitor screen where you can physically see it. You've also got a keyboard where you can input data to get data from the computer or to put data in the computer. The human system is very similar. You've got a brain. The brain would be the computer. I liken the brain, and I'm going to talk about the mind a lot because the mind is not the brain, even though it's part of it. The brain is a physical manifestation. You can pick one up. You can measure it. Your mind, on the other hand, is an abstract concept. But if you're looking at a computer system, as I just pointed out, the brain is the computer. The spinal cord and all the nerves that extend to the extremities, of course, send messages out, bring messages back. They say there are over 1 trillion brain cells actively engaged at any given moment. Again, a lot of these things that we go through life with are automatic. You don't stop to breathe, think about breathing. You don't stop to, get your heart going, stop it when you need to. These things are automatic. Most of your life internal organ systems are automatic. So again, you've got some similarities here, and I just wanted to point that out before we go too much further. So we are very much like a computer system. Your brain operates on electrical frequencies. I never realized how strongly electrical we were as human beings until I got into more research. But the brain works on 4 different frequencies, electrical frequencies. The one that is on right now with you awake, with me awake, is beta. You can see at the very top. It's a very fast-moving energy, very intricate-looking energy as you scan the actual wave pattern. We then have at the bottom delta, which is what the brain undergoes electrical-wise when you're asleep. Understand, and I'll point this out further as we develop the theme, when you're asleep, even though you may be unconscious to the public, internally your brain is still active, and I'll share with you on the second video how that process takes place. In between beta and delta, you've got alpha and theta. Theta is a very, very deep, suggestible state. In fact, that's the one that the hypnotherapist puts you into. And I definitely want to try and take out any voodoo, sensation related to the word hypnosis. A lot of people still are fearful of it. It's actually, again, a very controlled and therapeutic sequence of events. If you were coming to me, say, you wanted to quit smoking, first thing I would do, of course, is spend 15, 20 minutes with you, getting general information. I want to know more about you. I want to know what, again, drives you in life. I want to know your background. And then we start, honing it down into that funnel peak where we see, again, what the focus will be for this session. You're here to quit smoking. So now that I know that, I'm going to focus on smoking only. And the next step I would do is I actually grade or test you for your suggestibility. Your suggestibility is the way you take information in. Typically, you learn that from your mom first, who's the first caretaker. In my case, it was my grandmother. I was dropped off at her place first week of life. So I never saw my mother till I was almost 6. And fortunate in my respect, and you'll learn more as I go along, my grandmother gave me a very solid foundation. I'm not sure I would have gotten the same from my mother, but either way, that's a whole different story. So these brain frequencies, like I say, are there to be used accordingly. The alpha, that relaxed, reflecting stage of suggestibility, is one that you actually put yourself into when you go through mind fitness, as I call it, or again, creating self-hypnosis. The brain has 2 hemispheres, a left and a right. The right side controls the left side of the body. The left side controls the right side of the body. But it gets more interesting in that because as you look at this graphic here, you can see that the left side is more the academic, the right side is more the creative, and it gets a little deeper than that. But these 2 lobes actually work together. If you look at the brain, there's a channel right down the middle of both lobes, both hemispheres, called the corpus callosum. That actually exchanges information with both lobes back and forth. And typically the female in our society deals with both lobes almost in a balanced fashion, where the male is really driven more by the left side. In that society, pushing the male to be the breadwinner per se, the guy that brings the food home and keeps the bills paid. But either way, these 2, like I say, work in tandem. We now know a lot more about both sides of the brain, and I think it's very interesting that, again, they create so much change in our life. I've always been big on personal development. I've been around, like I told you, salespeople for the last 35 years. Manufacturers who I work for produce products that are sold to a distributor, wholesale distributor, who has a cadre of salespeople that cover salons and spas. So after any sales meeting, I would go out into salons or spas with these salespeople, and over the 35-year period, like I said, learned a lot about the greatness of salespeople, and a lot of times, of course, the ones that don't make it, the reasons why they didn't make it. I believe if you're trying to create personal development, you're going to go through 3 steps. These 3 steps are, first, you've got to acknowledge that you've got an issue, that you've got a challenge. I don't like the word problem so much. I use the word challenge in exchange of it. You need to become more aware, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, as to what you actually feel you need to work on. The second step would be to label a very specific area for change. I use the example of a client coming to me, for the consultation, and by the time I got through the consultation and general information that I got from that person, I found out they were there to quit smoking. So that would be the specific area for change with that person. And then you've got to follow through with a program for change. Whether you're going through a therapist for, again, someone, holding your hand and leading you down the path, or whether you're doing mind fitness and do it on your own, you've got to have some program that, again, extends the information beyond just talking about it. So personal development, and like I said earlier, and I'll continue to say it, my website, jameshobartmarketing.com, geared specifically at those areas. Personal development. I'm always big on helping people because I know that if I help someone, they help me in return, and that's the way it should work. I will tell you, in fact, this is a scientific term that you see on the screen here called homeostasis. Homeostasis is a scientific phenomena that brings you back in balance. And to make a quick example here, you want to lose weight, and all of a sudden you jump into this diet, and a week later realize that, something happened. You're back where you were. What it is the mind taking you beyond the comfort zone. We all live in a comfort zone. Our comfort zone is geared by life experience. Today, for you, it would be how much money you make, what you can afford to buy as a car, who your friends are, where you go to eat. All these factors that are part of, again, demographics, psychographics, kind of keep us in a comfort zone. We will attempt to leave that comfort zone. Those of us that have the initiative and the drive to be bigger and better are always pushing the envelope. But sometimes you realize, even a day later, a week later, boom, something didn't work, and I'm back where I was, and you move on to something else. That, again, is homeostasis, bringing you back in balance. The conscious mind, which is on right now, you're awake, I'm awake, we're talking to one another, is at roughly 12% of your capacity. In fact, that number actually is changed. You'll see a little different number in a few slides later. Scientific information today has the conscious mind at 10%, which leaves 90% left, or in my example, 88% left. That would be your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind was not there when you landed here. Your conscious mind evolved, and when it reached that critical stage between 6 and 8, you now know right from wrong. You now use logic. You use reasoning. But up until you reach the age of reason, the subconscious mind, which is 88% on this slide, and in fact, I may change these slides to go to 90% sometime soon, is always on and has been there from the very start. So when I develop the mind tomorrow, more so than today, because today is kind of general information that sets you up, you're going to see that the subconscious mind, called the automatic you, definitely runs your life. We all landed here with a clean slate. We all landed here naked to the world. I don't know of anyone here that landed with their shoes on. And I always joke about it, but I'm sincere about this. No one landed here with winner stamped on their forehead. No one landed here with loser stamped on their forehead. And if anything, we all should have had the word chooser stamped on our forehead because, again, the greater being, the universe, whoever you look at as that finite point of start, has given us the ability to make choices. Choices, unfortunately, bring ripple effects with them. So a good choice brings good things. A bad choice many times brings bad things. And that will be the law of karma. Interestingly enough, babies are only born here with 2 fears. Those 2 fears are the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Every other fear that you have today has been learned through association and identification, which create your life script. It is still known today and still publicized today that the number one fear of Americans is still public speaking. I don't understand that because I've been speaking publicly since high school, but for someone that doesn't speak publicly, I can see where it would be intimidating until you get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 behind you, and you now feel more comfortable. So again, we all started out with exactly the same clean slate, and I'll drive that point home tomorrow when we look at the subconscious. We are creatures of habit, are we not? And if you don't think that, let me kind of bring up the point. I know myself, and I don't think I'm too much different than most people. I get up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee, watch the news, come down. First thing I do in the bathroom is my mouth. I again floss. I'm big on flossing. I then brush my teeth. I then brush my teeth with a sonic toothbrush, and I then use a rinse after that. So everything, if you notice, is pretty much the same. Those are habits that have been created over time. In the evening, we all, again, lock the doors, turn the lights out, make sure there's water, food for the cat and the dog. We do all the little things before we go to bed. So again, we're very ritualistic about our life behavior and our patterns, and those patterns are habits. So we are creatures of habit, and those things are really what drive your behavior and your mode of behavior. As I pointed out earlier, but this graphic really describes the difference between the subconscious mind, which has been on since birth, and the conscious mind, which develops at the age of reason, remember, 6 to 8 years of age. I would have to argue that today, kids are maturing a lot quicker. Life is moving at a faster pace than ever before. And just because of the accessibility to information, and of course the marketing behind product development, services, and all that, we do mature a lot quicker. But here you can see an iceberg. The iceberg's a great example of what the two minds are, the subconscious and the conscious. The conscious, as you can see, is what's above water. It's the present mind. The subconscious mind is what's below the water, and really 2/3 of that. And that aligns very closely with, again, the conscious mind being 10%, the subconscious mind being 90%. And these are these two numbers that, like I say, I found just recently, and I will change my numbers from the hypnotherapy side to reflect the 10 and 90%. The subconscious room I want you to think of as a file room of information that you've gathered from birth until today. Unfortunately, it contains both positive and negative experiences. I always make the point, too, that the subconscious mind, which has been gathering information from birth, actually, in my estimation, goes earlier than birth because at conception, 9 months earlier, of course, you're still not a formed human body, but by the 3rd, 4th, 5th month, you started looking like a human being. And I really feel that the human being in the womb receives input as well. The input coming from, again, what the mother's eating, both good and bad. What she's doing is habits, maybe smoking, drinking alcohol that aren't good for her. So these are things that, again, do affect the baby from way before birth. It's interesting to me that the Chinese date their kids, from the date of conception as opposed to the date of actual birth, adding on another 9 months to that person's age, per se. And as I said, the conscious mind is reached by the age of reason. We'll develop that further tomorrow. I want to leave you with just a few closing thoughts. When decisions are made by the conscious mind, remember your awake mind, and if there's a discrepancy between the subconscious and the conscious minds, the subconscious mind will always rule. That is why you catch yourself all the time saying to yourself, a few minutes later, a day later, now why did I do that? What you did at that moment was automatic behavior. A good example is driving the car. If you started like I did, driving stick shifts, the pain you went through to get that clutch-gas ratio moving in the right direction without herky-jerking the car all over the place. But overall, like I say, if there's a discrepancy, the subconscious mind will always overrule. I want you to bookmark my website. I've got it here for you. Here you'll find articles, as I've said before, self-improvement, self-empowerment, inspiration, motivation, business ideas, and encouragement. And I might leave you with one final comment. You can be whomever you want to be. You can achieve any level of personal or business success you desire. And you can do almost anything you can visualize because you have the ability to set up your own file system within your life script. Think about that for a bit. If you really dig into these two articles and watch the videos, you will start to realize how powerful the mind is. And yet no one teaches us how to use it. It is the change factor in your life once you get a hold of the information and start applying it. So with that, I leave you. Thank you for your time. Please check out my website. Please check out video 2, which will expand this information so much more. Thank you again.